In chapter 9 of the book of Revelation, John witnesses the sounding of the fifth and sixth trumpets, which bring forth wars and plagues as part of the judgments poured out during the seventh seal. When the fifth angel sounds his trumpet, John sees a star falling from heaven to the earth. This star is given the key to the bottomless pit. When the pit is opened, smoke rises, darkening the sun and the air. Out of the smoke, locusts emerge and are given power similar to scorpions. These locusts are commanded not to harm the grass, green things, or trees but to torment only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They are allowed to torment these individuals for a period of 5 months, causing great agony that resembles the sting of a scorpion. During this time, people will seek death but will be unable to find it. They will long for death, but death will elude them. The appearance of the locusts is described as having features similar to horses prepared for battle. They have crowns like gold on their heads and faces resembling human faces. They possess long hair like women, teeth like lions, and iron like breastplates. The sound of their wings is compared to the sound of many horses running to battle. They also have tails like scorpions with stings, which they use to harm people during the 5-month period. A king, identified as the angel of the bottomless pit, named Abaddon in Hebrew and Apollyon in Greek, rules over these locusts. After the fifth trumpet judgment passes, John hears that 2 more woes are yet to come. When the sixth angel sounds his trumpet, John hears a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, instructing the angel to release the 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates. These 4 angels, who were prepared for a specific time frame, are unleashed to kill 1/3 of humanity. An army of 200 million horsemen is seen in a vision. The horses have breastplates of fire, jacinth, and brimstone, and their heads resemble lions. Fire, smoke, and brimstone come from their mouths, causing death and destruction. The power of the horses is in their mouths and tails, which resemble serpents and inflict harm. Despite these plagues and judgments, the rest of humanity who survives does not repent of their idolatry. In this chapter, John witnesses the unleashing of the fifth and sixth trumpet judgments. The fifth trumpet brings forth tormenting locusts, while the sixth trumpet involves an army of destructive horsemen. These events symbolize the wars and plagues that will occur before the Lord's return. The chapter also highlights the lack of repentance among those who experience these judgments, indicating their continued rebellion against God. In chapter 10 of the book of Revelation, John sees another mighty angel descending from heaven. This angel is clothed with a cloud, has a rainbow upon his head, and his face shines like the sun. His feet are like pillars of fire. In the angel's hand is a little open book, and he stands with 1 foot on the sea and the other on the earth. He cries out with a loud voice, comparable to the roaring of a lion. As he cries out, 7 thunders respond with their voices. However, when the 7 thunders speak, John is about to write down what they say. But he hears a voice from heaven instructing him to seal up and not write down the words spoken by the 7 thunders. Then, the angel who stands on the sea and the earth raises his hand toward heaven and swears by the eternal Creator of all things, declaring that there will be no more delay or time. This suggests that the events leading to the culmination of God's plan are approaching. The voice from heaven speaks to John again, telling him to take the little open book from the angel's hand. John approaches the angel and asks for the book. The angel instructs him to take it and eat it. He tells John that it will be sweet as honey in his mouth but will make his belly bitter. John takes the little book from the angel's hand and eats it. As he does, it tastes sweet like honey in his mouth, but afterward, it causes bitterness in his belly. The angel then tells John that he must prophesy again before many peoples, nations, tongues, and kings. This commission indicates that John has a role to play in proclaiming the message of God's revelation to a wide audience. In this chapter, John encounters a powerful angel who holds a little open book. The angel's actions and words signify the approaching fulfillment of God's plan and the unveiling of mysteries. John is instructed to consume the book, representing his participation in the prophetic proclamation of God's message. In chapter 11 of the book of Revelation, John is given a measuring rod and instructed to measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. However, he is told not to measure the outer court of the temple because it will be given to the Gentiles, who will tread upon the holy city for 42 months. God grants power to 2 witnesses who prophesy for 1,260 days, dressed in sackcloth. These 2 witnesses are described as the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. They have the authority to consume their enemies with fire that proceeds from their mouths and to bring plagues upon the earth as they see fit. They are also capable of shutting the heavens to prevent rain and turning water into blood. After they finish their testimony, a beast from the bottomless pit wages war against the 2 witnesses and overcomes them, killing them. Their dead bodies are left lying in the streets of the great city, symbolically referred to as Sodom and Egypt, where Jesus was crucified. The people from various nations see their bodies for 3.5 days and do not allow them to be buried. Those dwelling on the earth rejoice over the witnesses' deaths because they had tormented them. However, after 3.5 days, the Spirit of life from God enters the two witnesses, and they stand on their feet. A great fear falls upon those who witness this. Then a voice from heaven calls them to come up, and they ascend to heaven in a cloud, while their enemies watch. At that moment, a great earthquake occurs, causing 1/10 of the city to collapse, resulting in the deaths of 7,000 people. The survivors are filled with fear and give glory to the God of heaven. The sounding of the seventh angel follows, and voices in heaven declare that the kingdoms of the world have become the kingdoms of the Lord and his Christ. It is proclaimed that Christ will reign forever and ever. The 24 elders before God's throne worship and give thanks to God for his reign. The nations become angry, signifying the outpouring of God's wrath and the time for judgment. God rewards his servants, the prophets and the saints, and brings destruction upon those who destroy the earth. The temple of God in heaven is opened, revealing the ark of his testament. Lightning, voices, thunderings, an earthquake, and great hail accompany this event. In this chapter, John witnesses the ministry and martyrdom of the two witnesses in Jerusalem. Despite their death, they are resurrected and taken up to heaven, accompanied by an earthquake. The chapter also emphasizes the ultimate reign of Christ, the coming judgment, and the opening of the temple in heaven. In chapter 12 of the book of Revelation, John sees a vision of a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She is in labor and about to give birth. At the same time, a great red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads appears in heaven. The dragon's tail drags down 1/3 of the stars from heaven and casts them to the earth, positioning itself before the woman to devour her child as soon as it is born. The woman gives birth to a male child who is destined to rule all nations with a rod of iron. However, the child is caught up to God and his throne. The woman then flees into the wilderness, where God has prepared a place for her to be nourished for 1,260 days. In heaven, a war breaks out between the archangel Michael and his angels and the dragon and its angels. The dragon and its angels are defeated and cast out of heaven, no longer having a place there. The dragon is identified as the old serpent, the devil, and Satan, who deceives the entire world. He and his angels are cast down to the earth. A loud voice in heaven proclaims the arrival of salvation, strength, the kingdom of God, and the power of Christ, for the accuser of the brethren, Satan, has been cast down. The brethren have overcome Satan through the blood of the Lamb, Jesus, and their testimony, not loving their own lives even in the face of death. As a result of being cast down to the earth, Satan becomes filled with great wrath, knowing that his time is short. He persecutes the woman who gave birth to the male child. However, the woman is given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness, where she is nourished and protected from the serpent's presence for a time, times, and half a time, symbolizing a period of persecution and tribulation. The serpent spews water like a flood out of its mouth to sweep the woman away, but the earth comes to her aid, opening its mouth and swallowing the flood. Infuriated, the dragon goes to make war with the remnant of the woman's seed, those who keep the commandments of God and hold the testimony of Jesus Christ. In chapter 13 of the book of Revelation, John sees a beast rising out of the sea. This beast has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns on its horns, with blasphemous names on its heads. It resembles a leopard, with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. The dragon, Satan, gives the beast its power, authority, and throne. One of the heads of the beast appears to have been mortally wounded but is miraculously healed, causing the world to marvel and follow the beast. People worship both the dragon and the beast, acknowledging the beast's superiority and invincibility. The beast speaks boastful and blasphemous words and is given authority to act for 42 months. The beast blasphemes against God, his name, his dwelling place, and those in heaven. It wages war against the saints and overcomes them, gaining power over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All the inhabitants of the earth, except those whose names are written in the book of life of the Lamb, worship the beast. John urges those who have ears to hear and understand. He declares that those who lead others into captivity will themselves be taken captive, and those who kill with the sword will themselves be killed. He emphasizes the need for patience and faith among the saints. John then sees another beast rising from the earth. This second beast has 2 horns like a lamb but speaks like a dragon. It exercises the authority of the first beast and compels the earth's inhabitants to worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, including calling down fire from heaven in the sight of people. Through these signs and miracles, the second beast deceives the inhabitants of the earth, urging them to create an image of the first beast, which had been wounded by a sword but survived. The second beast is granted the power to give life to the image of the first beast, enabling it to speak and causing those who refuse to worship the image to be killed. Moreover, the second beast forces everyone, regardless of social status, to receive a mark on their right hand or forehead. This mark, the name of the beast, or the number representing his name, is required for buying and selling. John concludes by stating that wisdom is needed to understand the number of the beast, which is the number of a man, 666. In chapter 14 of the book of Revelation, John sees a vision of the Lamb, referring to Jesus, standing on Mount Zion. With the Lamb are 144,000 individuals who have the name of the Father written on their foreheads. John hears a heavenly voice like the sound of many waters and thunder, accompanied by harpers playing their harps. The 144,000 sing a new song before the throne, a song that only they can learn, as they have been redeemed from the earth and remain undefiled. Then John witnesses another angel flying in the midst of heaven, proclaiming the everlasting gospel to all the inhabitants of the earth, every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. The angel calls upon all to fear God, give him glory, and worship the Creator, for the hour of judgment has come. Another angel follows, declaring the fall of Babylon, the great city that has led nations astray with her fornication. A third angel warns that those who worship the beast, referring to the Antichrist, and receive his mark on their forehead or hand will drink the wine of God's wrath. They will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. Their torment will be eternal, with no rest day or night. John emphasizes the patience of the saints and their commitment to keeping the commandments of God and maintaining faith in Jesus. He hears a voice from heaven declaring the blessedness of those who die in the Lord from that point forward. The Spirit affirms that they will find rest from their labors, and their works will follow them. John then sees a figure resembling the Son of Man sitting on a white cloud, wearing a golden crown and holding a sharp sickle. Another angel comes out of the temple and instructs the one on the cloud to reap the harvest of the earth, as the time has come. The one on the cloud thrusts the sickle onto the earth, and the earth is reaped. A second angel, also holding a sharp sickle, emerges from the heavenly temple. Then a third angel, who has power over fire, calls out to the second angel to gather the clusters of grapes from the earth's vine. The grapes, symbolizing the wicked, are fully ripe. The second angel gathers the grapes and throws them into the winepress of God's wrath outside the city. The winepress is trodden, and blood flows out of it for a distance of 1,600 furlongs, reaching up to the horse bridles. This chapter portrays the Lamb standing on Mount Zion with the redeemed, the proclamation of the gospel, the warning against worshipping the beast and receiving his mark, the promise of rest for the faithful, and the reaping of the earth's harvest and the judgment upon the wicked. In chapter 15 of the book of Revelation, John sees another sign in heaven. He witnesses 7 angels who possess the 7 last plagues, which are said to contain the complete wrath of God. John also sees a sea of glass mingled with fire, upon which those who have overcome the beast, his image, his mark, and the number of his name stand. These victorious individuals hold harps of God. The redeemed sing a song that combines the song of Moses, the servant of God, with the song of the Lamb. They proclaim the greatness and marvelousness of God's works, acknowledging his just and true ways as the King of saints. They declare that all nations will come to worship before God, recognizing his holiness and the manifestation of his judgments. Next, John sees the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven open. The 7 angels, clothed in pure and white linen and wearing golden girdles, come out of the temple. One of the 4 living creatures gives the 7 angels 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God, who lives forever. The temple is filled with smoke from the glory and power of God, preventing anyone from entering until the 7 plagues brought by the 7 angels are fulfilled. This chapter highlights the exaltation of the victorious saints who sing praises to God, the impending pouring out of the 7 last plagues by the angels, and the unapproachable presence of God in his temple until his wrath is complete.